Hi, it's Sheridan Webb here from the Training Designers Club, which is the place to go for practical L&D support, especially if you're a practitioner who works on your own. And today I've been thinking about a really important question, and that question is, what's the sweet spot? And I mean, what's the sweet spot in terms of what it is we need to design, particularly if we're designing for other facilitators. Now, I have written a blog about this, which I will post a link to in the notes, but it was really interesting that on social media over the last few days, I've been asking, what do you expect if you're delivering someone else's work, and how does this compare to what you actually get? And I was fully expecting, I'll be totally honest with you, people to say, all I get is a slide deck and I have to make the rest up. And that is the more common response. Sadly, it still happens more often than it should. I'm forever telling people a slide deck is not training design. But anyway, but what was interesting is one or two people said, I get given way too much. And that was interesting. I hadn't really considered that. So obviously, if all we provide people with is a slide deck, that's leaving the facilitator a heck of a lot of design work still to do, because you would hope that not everything is on a slide in the first place. And if it's a very slide heavy presentation, if you've been given 200 text-based slides, you don't know how to bring that to life, where the exercises fit in, how long you need to spend on things. And obviously, if it's a more visual slide presentation, which is obviously better, you don't really know what you're supposed to do with the visual. So what is this image trying to represent? So not enough information, we know, is not a good thing. But equally, too much information can be a bad thing. So what is too much information? So this is where the trainer will get sent all of the background information. So, here's some background reading that you might like to do. So this is the research that backs up the things that we're going to talk about. It may be, related videos. You might want to reference this, or here's some of the things that people may have done on previous modules. Get up to speed with this. It may be where you get given multiple exercises. So where the facilitator is told, run a communication skills exercise, and they're given a choice of about 6, because then the facilitator's got to look through them all, decide which one's going to work best, how they might adapt it, which one will work in which situation. If we have got a script as well, that can be really daunting for a facilitator, because if your trainer's notes for a one-day course amounts to about 40 pages, you do start to second guess yourself and worry if you are actually putting across the right information in the right way, and we can get a little bit constrained by it. So too much information can be almost as bad as not enough information. So as a training designer, if we're not delivering for ourselves, especially if we're not delivering for ourselves, getting this Goldilocks, this sweet spot, is so important. So what do I mean by that? I think at the very least, we need to have very clear objectives. So what are the key things that this training is going to cover? So the facilitator has that in their mind as a framework, as a sort of key points that they're going to go the route through the training. They are going to need an explanation of the key points that are needed to be covered, any key theories, any key models. So what is it that we're going to cover, and what in particular do we want to come out? Because some models, as we know, are very broad. Some theories can be explained in multiple ways. So how are we actually relating that to the audience? I think we need to have exercises that are described in detail. So this is the exercise that I want you to run. This is how you run it. This is how you debrief it. It's good practice to have an alternative exercise, but probably just one. So if you are suddenly asked to go virtual when you thought you were going face to face, let's have an alternative exercise in there. If you've suddenly got 4 delegates when you're expecting to have 12, what might be an alternative? Or if you need to cut your time short for whatever reason, there's been a fire alarm, we've lost half an hour, this 45-minute exercise isn't going to work. How have we got a 25-minute exercise that will do the job? So a couple of choices of exercises that are explained properly, I think is very, very important. Something else which is often missed is timings. So the timings don't, yes, we need to put specific timings in. Trust me, the facilitator is not going to stick to them exactly. But what the timings do is it gives them an indication of where the emphasis of the course should be. So if we have a section on the Eisenhower grid that's just 10 minutes, that tells us a lot about where we need to be focusing our time. So we may end up spending 15 minutes on it, and that's okay, but we're not going to be spending an hour and a half because we've got that in our heads as to where the focus and where the emphasis needs to be. I think we do need some sort of visual aid. We need to take the hard work out of it, do the heavy lifting for the facilitator. Facilitators will tweak the visual aids. They won't necessarily use them all. They may add an extra one or two in. That's all part of their prep, and that's to be expected. But what we shouldn't be doing is overwhelming them with visual aids or giving them so few they don't really know where to go with it. And then the last thing I think that is part of the minimum viable product, because really that's what I'm talking about, is helpful visual delegate materials. So delegates, if they are interested, can go for the deep dive stuff. We can send them links, we can signpost the more detailed stuff. We don't need to send them away with a 90-page workbook or textbooks or anything like that. But practical, helpful materials that they can refer back to and will provide that, that reminder of the things that they need to do, I think is incredibly important. So that's my thoughts on how much material should we create when we're designing for other trainers. And as luck would have it, that is what I provide on the Power Hour Ready Written Training materials. If you don't know, I have created over 50 bite-sized modules that are all ready to download, ready to be used, all completely editable. That include all of those things. So you've got your session plan, your slides, your exercises, your delegate workbook, and any exercises are all explained in detail. So a little plug there for the sister business. So let me know if you think that's about right or if you have a different thought. I'm always interested to know. Find out more, check out more on this channel, visit the website, which is www.trainingdesignersclub.co.uk, or find us on Facebook, or even better, join us as a VIP member and have lots and lots of discussions like this in our community.